Imagine this, a deadly mystery, a group of survivors stuck in a nightmare, and creatures lurking beneath the earth, waiting to strike. But just when you think you figured it out, boom! A twist so wild it'll make you question everything. This is a story of survival, betrayal, and monsters you never saw coming. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Dropping a like and a comment is the least you can do to show some love. And like we always say, even if some stories sound the same, they ain't never the same when I'm the one telling them. It was the year 1879, a time when folks were heading west, trying to stake their claim in the wild, untamed lands of the New World. Some found themselves in bustling cities, others in quiet towns. But there was a family who dared to settle deep in the desolate grasslands of the Dakota Territories, far from the comforts of civilization. They thought they'd find peace there, a chance to start fresh. At the helm of this family was Gerald Slaughter, a hard-as-nails settler, tough as the leather boots he wore. With him were his wife, kids, and his old father. His daughter, Mary, was set to marry a young man named Fergus Coffey. They'd met on their journey west and had fallen hard for each other. Now they were planning a future together, filled with dreams and hope. But that night, the calm was shattered. As the wind howled across the open plains, strange sounds echoed through the night, setting everyone on edge. The family froze, hearts racing. They feared an attack from the nearby Native American tribes. Gerald, ever the protector, grabbed his rifle and with a firm voice, told his family to get to the basement. It wasn't just the danger they could see that night that they feared. It was the terror they couldn't. Outside, gunshots rang through the air like thunder, splintering the night. Panic spread like wildfire. The family huddled in the basement, every creak of the floor sending chills down their spines. They waited, breath held, praying they would make it through the night. But then, something far worse than any enemy they could have imagined began to stir. The floor beneath them cracked open, and an eerie noise started to rise from the depths below. That night, the screams that followed weren't just those of fear. They were of a nightmare come alive. By morning, Fergus finally arrives at the Slaughter home, only to be greeted by a nightmare. The place is a scene of horror. Several family members lie dead, their lifeless bodies scattered across the land. But what makes it worse? Some, including Mary, are just gone, vanished into thin air. There's no sign of a struggle, no signs of an attack. It's as if they just disappeared. Fergus is shattered. His heart pounds with the crushing weight of grief. He rushes to find John Clay, a local man who knows the ways of the land. After hearing the grim news, Clay suspects Native American raiders might be behind the attack, but he agrees to investigate further. Fergus, with fire in his eyes, insists on joining the search. He won't stop until he finds Mary, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, miles away, we meet Will Parter, a hardened frontiersman out on a simple family picnic. Peaceful, right? Well, not for long. He notices a man on horseback riding toward him, his shadow stretching long in the afternoon sun. Will feels a cold shiver run down his spine. But when the rider draws closer, he recognizes Fergus, holding a letter from the governor confirming the attack. Will, the kind of man who knows how to face danger head-on, agrees to help. He knows, deep down, this is just the beginning. His wife, with wisdom born of the land's cruel realities, suggests he take their son, Dobby, along. The boy needs to learn how to face the darkness in this world, even if it's a lesson no parent wants to teach. Will arrives at the site of the attack, his boots crunching over the dry earth. The air is thick with dread. He stumbles upon a girl's body, her neck marked by strange puncture wounds, fresh and already turning a sickly shade. The infection spreads like wildfire, and Will knows something isn't right. He keeps moving, his eyes scanning the ground until he finds a mysterious hole in the earth, its edges jagged and unnatural. There's a heavy silence around him now, like the land itself is holding its breath. What no one knows yet, not a soul, is that the true danger isn't human at all. Something far darker and more dangerous stirs below, just waiting to rise. Fergus, Will, and John Clay start forming a search party, determined to rescue Mary and any other survivors. Word of the attack reaches the governor's office, and soon Captain Henry Victor and his soldiers are sent to help. But Henry? He's a hard man, bitter and cruel. He holds deep hatred for Native Americans and sees this as his chance for violence. The group comes together, a strange mix of men and women. Alongside Fergus, Will, and John Clay, there's Callahan, a freed African-American cook called Walnut, and Calloway, a young Native American scout who stands with the settlers. With every passing hour, the air between them grows heavier, thick with mistrust and old grudges. Still, Captain Henry takes charge, pushing his authority onto the others, his eyes filled with the promise of bloodshed. Before they ride out, they bury the dead, offering their last respects to the fallen. And then, With hearts full of tension and fear, they head off into the unknown. The journey stretches on, each mile feeling heavier than the last. Clay, always the man with knowledge, pulls the group aside and shares his thoughts. Not all Native American tribes are enemies, he warns, his voice low and careful. But then he speaks of the Ute tribe, a dangerous and mysterious group. They may hold the answers to what's really going on, Clay believes. But he knows negotiations will be a slow path, one of peace. Henry, on the other hand, sees only one way forward: bloodshed. As the group moves on, Will's horse gets stuck in the thick, sticky mud. While they struggle to free the animal, they fail to notice something horrifying beneath their feet. A body, buried beneath the soil, forgotten by time, but not by the land itself. It's another grim clue in the puzzle. The feeling of being watched grows stronger with each step. Someone, or something, is burying people alive, and it's all starting to add up. Later, the tension explodes. Henry's men spot a lone Native American in the distance. Without a second thought, Henry shoots the man's horse from afar, sending it crashing to the ground. They capture him, dragging him to the camp. Will, ever the calm and thoughtful one, tries to question the man. He shows him a picture of Mary, hoping for a response, but the man remains silent, his eyes hard and unreadable. When Henry takes over, the atmosphere turns dark and cruel. The soldiers begin their brutal interrogation, torturing the prisoner in an effort to force him to speak. Fergus, Clay, and Will exchange uncomfortable glances. None of them can stomach the violence. But it's clear that Henry won't stop until he gets what he wants. That night, as the fire crackles and the shadows stretch long, Fergus sits with Callahan. The two men talk quietly, the flickering light casting uneasy shadows across their faces. Callahan, once a slave, now works as a cook. No one else will hire him. His voice is heavy with the weight of a past that won't let go. Fergus, his eyes tired from the journey, opens up about his own struggles. He had left Dakota for New York, hoping for a better life, but found only dead ends. So he came back, searching for Mary, the woman he loves. Their conversation is cut short when Henry, ever the hard man, catches Callahan feeding the prisoner. The anger in Henry's eyes is clear as he warns Callahan of the consequences, his voice cold and threatening. Later, while the camp sleeps under the watchful eyes of the stars, something stirs in the bushes. Strange creatures, shadowy and twisted, emerge from the darkness, attacking the night guards. They move quickly, silent and deadly. By morning, the air is thick with fear. Fergus wakes to the haunting news. Every one of the men on night watch is dead. What attacked them wasn't human. The terror they've been running from has finally caught up with them, and now they must face whatever nightmare lurks in the dark. The brutal attack on the night guards leaves the group shaken to their core. They realize something far darker is out there, something worse than the native tribes they feared. The captured Native American prisoner, who had been silent up until now, finally speaks, his voice rough with urgency. The barriers like the taste of white men's flesh. They won't stop. The words hang in the air, heavy with meaning, but no one fully understands them. Not yet. Captain Henry, his anger and hatred blinding him, ignores the warnings. He continues to torture the prisoner, hoping to get more answers. But John Clay can't stand it anymore. With a burst of fury, he steps in, stopping Henry's cruelty. Tensions explode in the camp. The group begins to split. Henry and his soldiers on one side, and Fergus, Will, Clay, and Callahan on the other. The divide is clear. They can't work with Henry anymore. The decision is made. They'll leave the soldiers behind and investigate on their own, hoping to uncover the truth before it's too late. As they ride deeper into the plains, Dobby, Will's young son, spots something strange. Holes in the ground, just like the ones they saw earlier. It's clear now. These holes are tied to the disappearances. The realization sends a chill through the group. That night, as they camp under the cold, star-filled sky, the unknown looms over them. They don't know what they're really up against, but it's getting darker by the minute. Then, out of the blue, Callahan returns. He's left Henry's group behind, and now he wants to join them. He believes Henry's brutal ways will only lead to more death, and he's not wrong. The others welcome him back, their small group growing tighter. The next day, they move forward, exploring the land. They come across a wagon with scattered belongings, but no people. The emptiness is unsettling. As they rest, Dobby and Callahan start tossing rocks at a tree, trying to pass the time. But when they run out of stones, Dobby goes searching for more. That's when he finds something buried beneath the dirt. Strands of golden hair. They dig, and what they uncover is enough to freeze their blood. A young woman, buried alive. Her eyes squint painfully at the sunlight, and though she can't speak, her toes toes twitch. She's alive, but just barely. The horror of it all sinks in. Whatever's happening out here is worse than they ever imagined. Will takes a closer look at the strange wounds on the girl's neck, and his heart skips a beat. They're identical to the ones they saw earlier. The realization hits them like a thunderclap. This isn't just an attack, it's something far worse. The attackers don't kill. They inject their victims with a paralytic poison, bury them alive, and return later to feed on them. The victims are still aware, still trapped in their own bodies, unable to move or scream. It's a slow, cruel death. Fergus shakes with fear. What if this is what happened to Mary? Will doesn't waste time. He tells Dobby to take the paralyzed girl to the nearest town for medical help. They load her into the wagon, hoping she survives long enough to tell them what they're dealing with. Dobby heads off, his young face serious, carrying the weight of this dark mission. The rest of the group, filled with dread and determination, keeps moving forward in their search, not knowing what horrors lie ahead. To avoid trouble, the group carefully makes their way through a forest, hoping to steer clear of the Ute tribe that lives there. But things take a dark turn when a Ute tribesman approaches them peacefully. Fergus, in a panic, shoots him, afraid of an attack. John Clay's face goes pale with anger. He knew this was coming. The violence has destroyed any hope of talking things out with the Utes. The forest explodes into chaos. The Utes fight back, furious at the attack. In the madness, John Clay is killed, his life snatched away in an instant. The remaining survivors, Fergus, Will, and Callahan, manage to escape, taking cover behind the body of their dead horse. They're hurt, tired, and running out of options. They make a desperate decision: set fire to the forest. The flames roar to life, pushing the Utes back and giving them a chance to retreat. The fire gives them a small window to escape, but it's clear they're alone now, low on supplies, and hunted by something they still can't fully understand. Every step they take feels like it could be their last. Back with Dobby, he's made camp for the night with the paralyzed girl, thinking he's safe. As he sleeps, the ground shifts silently. A Burrower, the terrifying creature, rises from beneath the earth. Without a sound, it strikes, injecting venom into Dobby's neck. His body goes numb, and he's paralyzed just like the girl. He's still awake, still trapped in his own body, fully aware but unable to move as the creature begins to dig his grave. Dobby, like the others, is buried alive, terrified, helpless, and completely aware of his fate. Fergus and the others come across a native woman sitting by a fire. She watches them carefully as they approach, trying to avoid more conflict. When she sees the wound on Will's neck, she warns them calmly in her language. The creatures will come for him. Will's condition worsens quickly. The poison is spreading, making him weaker and dizzy. The woman, with a deep sadness in her eyes, explains the horror. The Burrowers, these creatures, have lived under the ground for centuries, even before the settlers came. When bison roamed freely, they hunted animals. But with the settlers killing off the bison, the Burrowers turn to humans for food. The venom they inject thins the blood and softens the flesh, making it easier for the creatures to feast. She tells them her own painful story. Her husband was taken by the Burrowers, and she had to kill him to end his suffering. Then she reveals that the Ute tribe knows how to trap the creatures by using infected humans as bait and exposing them to sunlight, the only thing that can kill the Burrowers. With a grim look, she says, Will won't survive. They will come for him. The next day, Fergus and Callahan decide to use the native woman as leverage. They hope they can trade her for any surviving captives, maybe even Mary. But Will is losing his mind. He laughs uncontrollably, stumbling and barely able to keep up. His condition slows the group down, but they push on, desperate to find any hope. That night, everything goes wrong. One of the Burrowers attacks, and in the chaos, Will accidentally shoots Callahan in the leg. The native woman, with urgency in her voice, tells them to keep moving or they'll all die. By the time they reach the edge of Ute land, two tribesmen step out to confront them. Fergus tries to talk to them, but the language barrier makes things tense. Then, the Utes see Will's infected wound and realize they can use him as bait. They drug him and tie him to a tree, leaving him vulnerable to whatever horrors lurk in the night. Fergus watches in horror, unable to stop them, as the Utes draw the Burrowers closer with Will's helpless body. In the same moment, he finds a trinket, a piece of jewelry that once belonged to Mary. His heart sinks as he realizes the awful truth. Mary didn't survive. Later, Fergus finds Will, tied up and barely conscious. As he tries to free him, Will, in his delirium, accidentally shoots Fergus in the hand. Suddenly, a trap is triggered, and Fergus is stuck. He struggles desperately to escape, but the creatures begin to emerge, drawn to Will, ready to feed on him. In pain but refusing to give up, Fergus grabs a sharpened stick and the Ute's poison, using everything he can to defend himself and Will. He makes a shocking discovery. The only thing that can truly stop the creatures is sunlight. By morning, the creatures' bodies are reduced reduced to ash in the light of day. Fergus, exhausted and scarred, returns to the settlement to find that Henry and his men have arrived. They've executed the captured Ute woman and Callahan, completely unaware of the true danger lurking beneath the surface. The cycle of cruelty and ignorance continues, and Fergus is left heartbroken. Devastated by the loss and the horrors he's faced, Fergus walks away, his hand now marked with scars. As he walks, he unknowingly steps over a shallow grave, the place where Dobby lies, still buried alive beneath the dirt. The Burrowers ends with a chilling reminder. Sometimes the real monsters aren't just the ones lurking underground, they're the ones standing above it too. What would you do if you were Fergus, caught between deadly creatures and a ruthless group of men? Would you risk it all to save your people, or would you find a way to outsmart everyone and survive? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I want to know how you'd handle this insane situation.